It's Friday, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the coffee catch up, or a cup of tea catch up, as it is. It's Friday, and so it's catch up time. I hope you've had a great week. I know I've had a mixed bag week, but there's been some pretty good stuff coming out of this week. I've had some work with Amick Foster Wheeler, who also trade as Wood. I think they're owned by Wood. They're a kind of industrial nuclear kind of company that develop products for the nuclear sector, and they've got some really interesting kit actually, and it's always fun to get over there because they make really innovative kit that works within really tight parameters and very awkward environments, and so a lot of the stuff that I might photograph for them I can't show, but they've got this product that I was asked to photograph, and it's kind of it plugs leaks, so I don't know the details, but essentially it pumps fluids or a substance into a tube, and then this substance goes off and finds any leaks or holes and plugs them, and then they push through another reagent that sets it, and then another reagent to flush it out. So it's very, very, very clever. But essentially, although it does some whizzy bang stuff, and it looks great, what it does looks great. The product itself is how can I put this? Not very photogenic. It's essentially a kind of silver tube and a bucket, and not even a very nice bucket, just like a bin. So and it takes a couple of guys just to work it. So it's, although the process is extremely good and works and has been working for something like 30 years, they needed some updated imagery that showed it, and so it was up to me to sort of give it some context, and to find a way of making it look slightly more high tech than just a bucket. So I'll show you that image just up in the corner, either here or here, and so that was quite a challenge, and I guess one of the things that I struggle with is that the environment wasn't great. We looked at one location and that wasn't really suitable. There wasn't enough space around it to fit a couple of guys in, and the background didn't look very suitable to be working with that particular piece of kit. Of course, none of it was plumbed in. It wasn't working. We just had to make it look like it was attached somewhere. But yeah, so I had to find a background, and then of course everything was quite dark, which I didn't mind background wise. Sorry for the background noise. I've got all the doors open at the moment, so just let some air in. It's not actually that cold. So getting back to the photo, the thing I struggled with was the lighting. I wanted to keep it fairly low key. I wanted to keep it fairly dark and moody because the mystery had to come from somewhere, and so the lighting had to try and provide some of that. We set it up in front of some sort of gas canisters that they had as a background. I wasn't entirely convinced that was the right location for it, but unfortunately we were running out of time, and you don't get a lot of time on these projects. I quite like the blue of the stanchions, the upright stanchions, keying in with the blue of the overalls. The only thing I was a little bit distracted with was the silver of the canister being lost into the background of the wrap, the insulation on the cylinders. So I found that a little bit off-putting. I think in hindsight, because hindsight's really good, and if I was to do this again, I would bring them a whole lot further away from the background, and then pick an aperture, maybe f4, f5, 6, which meant that the background disappeared a little bit, or at least was a little bit blurred. There wasn't a great deal of room in front of us to work with, I'm afraid, so to get the lighting in and to to actually work physically. So and I wanted to keep, I didn't want a wide angle shot. I wanted quite a not a telephoto, but a reasonable length of lens. So I think we ended up using, in fact I couldn't find out, we ended up using a 35mm, so it wasn't super wide, but it was reasonably wide, just in order to get that sort of a controlled perspective. Lighting wise, that came from my Elinchrom Quadrapacks, range packs actually, sorry, and they were really good. I put some softboxes on them, and we side lit from one side and from the rear, and then there's a little flash gun that's just pushing a little bit of light into the front of the scene. The trouble is that with anything that's chrome silvered or stainless steel like this thing was, any kind of light hitting it is just going to boom. You're just going to get big old streaks of light, and it's going to be hard to hold on to that exposure in that area. So we had to be quite careful with how I lit that. So you have a look, post your comments below. I'd love to know what your thoughts were. We produced other shots for him in labs and stuff, but this was pretty much the reason we went along there to photograph. Other things this week. This came through. These are, I ordered these a little while ago, a couple of weeks back. I was organising the sort of work, some promotional work to go out to Cologne with, so that if I ever met anybody that whilst having conversations and they wanted to see what sort of work I did, this was the sort of thing that I could provide with them. It's just it's really sort of why I'm calling a pocket portfolio, and it's basically got portfolio of my images in it, which is very particular, so very specialist to either trucks, cars or tires. So, and then you can see all of the images that I produced over the few years, and yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It feels good. It feels quite glossy, and to be honest, I was a bit skeptical as to how it would turn out, because this isn't a company I've used before to produce this, and it's fairly straightforward. It's just one staple there, but it's really good printing. I'm sure there's better, but for essentially like £4 or £5, you can take a few of these around and hand them out with impunity, I guess. So that I'm really pleased with those. The company that I used, any guesses? I'll let you guess for a moment. I don't hear anybody saying the right company. But anyway, the company I used was Aldi. How about that? And who knew that they did that? Just a little Google search, and they popped up, and I thought, well, why not? Let's just try it. So, and I'm pretty pleased with it, to be honest. More things to show you on the promo side. I've had some new business cards sorted out, and these came from Moo. I've used those a few times, and basically they are nice. Let's see if we can manage that. Can we manage that? I don't think we can. I don't think this is auto-focusing. Anyway, all right, so I will put a few of these up. But essentially they are not made of card, which was one of the reasons I went for this, is, you know, just to sort of tick a few environmental boxes. We don't really want to be using card. So these things are actually made from recycled t-shirts, cotton t-shirts. So, and you can check those out on the website, on Moo's website. But they feel really, really nice. They are really durable, hard wearing. They're sharp. The printing's good. The texture's really nice. They're not cheap or flimsy or fraying, as you know you'd expect from cotton, but they are really good, and I feel like, you know, that's probably the way forwards. So yeah, go and check those out. I'm really pleased with them, and hopefully anybody getting them will be as well. So so yeah, we've had some good week. We've had a good week. You know, reasonably good in terms of inquiries coming through. I think we've had 2 or 3 of those. One that's definitely turned into work for a school out in Liverpool. Was it college? Anyway, an educational facility out in Liverpool. So we're going to be doing some work with them. We are talking with a company that wants me to go and photograph some of their signage that they're producing, and there's a couple of other stuff. What's happening? Let me have a look. So oh yeah, so that's with another company that's got some tipper trucks, skips and all that sort of stuff based down in London, and they've got big thoughts about what they're going to be producing, or big ideas as to what they want to produce down that way, and they've seen my portfolio and they're really pleased with what I can provide. It's just a matter of lining it all up. It's going to take a bit of logistics and a bit of messing about, but I think it could be a potentially really good project, and I'm really thrilled that they want to, you know, get on with it. So still talking to them about it, but that's looking very positive. I had one client from like a clothing company that they have decided that they either don't want to proceed with me, or they found, you know, somebody else, which is, you know, it's entirely up to them. I'm not going to force them to work with me. It's fine. So I wish them well. And yeah, I think, you know, things are looking pretty good, because the weather's changed for the better, it would appear. I've got all the doors open in the office. I've given the office a big spring clean, and a nice hoover and a dust and everywhere. Unfortunately, the cleaners, you know, let me down again. That's me. And yeah, it's looking good. So what's happening for you guys? I'd love to hear your comments. Comment below. What's troubling you at the moment? The things that are troubling me at the moment. GDPR. I'm not sure how compliant I'm going to be come the deadline, but I'm going to have a look at it. It's on my list of to-do things, but it's really not that high. I don't gather a lot of client data. Yes, people get in contact with me, but I don't then just stick them on a mailing list to e-shot them with my latest nonsense. It's very, very rare that I put out a email to anybody, to be honest, unless I'm talking to them about projects, because I'm literally normally busy enough already. So I guess, yeah, I've got to have some sort of policy in place. What are you guys doing? I'd love to know. How does it affect you? I'm sure for the bigger organisations that, you know, that have got someone dedicated to, you know, data protection, that they would get assigned this job, but as it's only me, I don't know how much that's going to impact me. One of the big questions, I guess, is if you take a photograph of someone's face, is that personal data? Can they ask for that to be removed? Don't know. Because I mean, there's all sorts of other data that will obviously come into it, like emails and addresses and telephone numbers and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure, if if you put them into, if you're currently putting them into a email bot that's gonna spam them, sure, I think your days are gone for that, so you can't do that anymore. I don't think you could have done that before anyway, legally. But yeah, I don't quite know how GDPR is going to affect me, but I'm going to have a look at it this week, and hopefully I'll come back to you with some ideas. I think it's a pretty complicated subject, so it's only going to be pretty brief, so don't expect miracles. Anyway, that's my week summary. I'm really pleased that you've joined me today, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, all that sort of gumph. Alright, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy yourself. Cheers.